And finally, we go to this week's Pro-Life Focus and introduce you to a Maryland Catholic couple who launched a new grassroots initiative to fight the legalization of physician-assisted suicide. Here's that story. In the middle of Maryland, locals recently filled a Catholic church hall to watch a documentary on a very important topic.
I appreciated it very much because I feel it's a very serious subject, and I've known people that have taken their life that way.
I thought it was wonderful. I was very impressed because it's something that people need to know. They need to learn about what is happening, and we need to educate them and show this film, get it around.
This film focuses on what's an increasingly alarming trend: the push to legalize physician-assisted suicide, which would permit doctors to prescribe life-ending drugs to people with a terminal illness.
The assisted suicide movement has done something that I think is quite insidious. They have co-opted the word compassion as if giving an overdose of poison, because that's what we're talking about, is somehow compassionate.
The 30-minute documentary shining the light on physician-assisted suicide untangles many of the lies from the assisted suicide lobby. It includes interviews with a range of medical experts and people who would potentially be vulnerable to physician-assisted suicide legislation.
I'm here to tell you, as a disabled man, it's not a terrible life.
Behind the film are an unlikely pair of producers.
They have 14 full-time fundraisers at their national office.
Tom and Laura Jones never planned to become filmmakers, but the Catholic Maryland couple grew concerned about assisted suicide legislation and felt called to take action. Laura saw firsthand the need that exists for people who oppose the culture of death to be in on these conversations after she attended a local meeting on assisted suicide.
What I saw was a room full of people wearing the stickers that said, "My life, my death, my choice." And the room was filled with people that were supporting that type of legislation. And there was nobody really there to counter it.
The family's personal connection to the issue was another motivating factor to get involved.
I've had two parents who had a 6-month prognosis, which would have made them eligible to receive these lethal prescriptions. My father lived for 10 beautiful, joy-filled years. I got to see the birth of 2 more grandchildren. In fact, we see him in the video. And then also my mother is still with us, and she's now 4 years past, her 6-month prognosis.
The Joneses created the group The Dignity Mandate to provide educational resources on social issues that impact human dignity, with a principal issue on opposing physician-assisted suicide.
Every place where there is a red square, that is a state where this has been legalized.
Physician-assisted suicide is already legal in 7 states and the District of Columbia. Proponents are heavily targeting other states, including Maryland. This married couple travels around the state to share their half-hour documentary at local community centers and answer crowd questions on the topic. It's a strategy intended to counter the pro-assisted suicide group, Compassion and Choices.
Physician-assisted suicide is not the answer, certainly not the answer. And I think the documentary made it clear that there is mental health service, there is true compassion from families and friends to support the person through the tough time so that they don't have to turn to something like physician-assisted suicide.
The documentary shining a light on physician-assisted suicide takes just as long to watch as a TV sitcom and can be found for free online. The film's director hopes it leaves viewers with a mobilizing message.
Most people don't even really know that this kind of a bill is being tried to get passed in the Maryland State Legislature. So the first thing is, hey, this is going on, and then to try and talk to their friends and call their county councilman or their senator or whoever, mayor, governor, write emails, letters, telling them how, what a bad idea this is.
Tom Jones feels a personal responsibility to activate the grassroots on this issue.
Assisted suicide, I believe, is bad because at the end of the day, It takes advantage of the most vulnerable in our society, right? It takes advantage of those people who are sick, who are depressed, who are lonely, who might be struggling with the thought of what is this going to do to my personal finances if I try and live a little bit longer. I mean, it really, if you think about that, and as Christians, as Catholics, it is, our calling to protect the weak, right? Protect the widows and the poor and the needy. I think this speaks right to that calling that all of us have as Christians. Protect the vulnerable.
The pastor of Maryland's Holy Family Catholic Church, which hosted a recent viewing, reiterates the calling we have as Catholics to get involved in building a culture of life.
Catholics always speak for the disenfranchised, for the vulnerable, whether it's the unborn or the elderly or the poor. And I think this is one of those issues where it really dovetails. Who are we really speaking for about compassion if we allow this to happen, and what are the impacts it's going to have on society and how we handle people in crisis healthcare situations.
From concerned citizens to Catholics in action, this Maryland couple hopes their local involvement will make a greater impact. If you want to watch the Dignity Mandate's half-hour documentary against a physician-assisted suicide, simply go to thedignitymandate.org.